and Sam. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
You are both part of Balanced Friends. That's how you're known on social media. And I'm really excited for you both to kind of share your unique, but also combined take on what you've been doing, and also kind of some inspiration for our listeners as to kind of how you can work together with other coaches and, you know, your unique perspective on things. So I can't wait to dive in. What I would like to do first is, why don't you guys share a little bit with how you got started, kind of where you were at with whatever career you were in, how you guys met, and how you got started in this space.
Okay, I'll tell that story. So Sam and I both went to dental hygiene school, and that's where we met. We became, instant friends there. And when we graduated, we, moved and lived together, and we, just live in our dental hygiene careers for quite a while. And eventually Sam's husband had to move to Germany for a job. So they moved to Germany, and we're like, hey, let's, maybe do like an Instagram page or something to share like healthy tips, and, we can chat about it, and it'll just be super fun. I went to visit Sam in Germany, and we were going to Paris on a train, having some mimosas. And we're like, let's just start this Instagram page. Let's stop talking about it. Our husbands were just thinking we were absolutely crazy, because they were like, you guys are nuts. Like, what are you doing? And we're like, it's fine. It'll be fun. So we just started an Instagram page, and started sharing like recipes and just like healthy tips and such. And then from there, we learned about the integrative health program, and we're like, let's do that. Like, I'm sure we'll learn so much, and we can, help ourselves and our family, and then we can share tips. And then
I'm sorry, I'm just going to chime in real quick. But I was going to say, what we really loved about that was that like we could do it at our own pace and do it all online, and we could like work with each other, during the process. And it was something that I could still do while I was living in Germany. And then Alyssa could do it, back home. And then go ahead, Alyssa.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was still working in dental hygiene full time, doing that program. And then we were kind of like, let's make this a business. Like, we love this. We love helping people. We are helping ourselves, and we are helping our family. And we were like, let's expand on this. And then that's kind of how that all started.
Mm-hmm. So fun that it just kind of started. You can say it started on a train
over mimosas.
Instead of having this like, perfectly laid out, business plan of, okay, we'll start on this day. It was just kind of,
It all happens it happens very organically, and life just kind of put us exactly where we needed to be. And we're all about balance. Sometimes we drink mimosas, and then we come up with a great business idea. Like, why not? Other times we have salad.
Yes. Yep. And the balance is what kind of keeps you going, right?
Absolutely.
Allows you to have fun. And then the balance is what allows you to kind of stay in certain parameters that keep you healthy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's share with the listeners, what are you currently doing today? Because again, the fact that you're both working together, it's a little bit of a unique thing that we haven't interviewed anybody that's working, together as two coaches. So tell us a little bit about Balanced Friends, what you do, what kind of the main business model is.
You can go ahead, Sam, and you can go ahead, and then I'll chime in. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So really I would say Balanced Friends in general is a passion career for us. We're both very fortunate for that. So it really is a career that just brings us joy, and we do it for fun. We love watching our clients become healthier, but really the thing that we're most passionate about is really helping our clients, both male and female, working with couples to get as healthy as they can in their fertility journey, like before the sperm even meets the egg. So we always talk about like, let's get to the root cause. Let's get to the root cause. To us, there is literally no better root cause than getting to your baby before the sperm even meets the egg. The healthier you are, the healthier the baby is. And then we just also launched our holistic pregnancy course, which also helps, parents continue to grow a healthy human. So it's really just like our goal to create as many healthy humans as we can, and just help people, take a more holistic approach in doing that.
That's great. And yes, I think so many people, their mindset is usually like, okay, I'm pregnant. Now what do I do? Like, I'm pregnant. How do I have this be super healthy? And it's like, oh, there's so much that happens before that.
And yeah,
So
absolutely.
much.
Sam and I both like spent a long time, really like prepping our bodies before we were pregnant, and really like, making a lot of decisions about pregnancy and birth before we were even pregnant. So we just felt so confident going into ours that we're like, we need to do this for other people, because it is overwhelming and there's so many emotions and it's stressful, trying to get pregnant. And then when you are pregnant, so we were like, let's just make this as easy as possible for people.
Yes.
Yeah. So
go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I was just going to add to that. Like, I did have clients tell me recently that, they want to start getting pregnant and they went to their OBGYN, and I'm not going to talk badly about anybody or any path that you choose. That's not my place. But the OBGYN just said, okay, well, come back to me when you haven't gotten pregnant and it's been 6 months. They said nothing to this client about improving their fertility and chances and their health ahead of time, which just, it doesn't sit well with me. I think there's so much more to the story. And so we're just really on a mission to help fill those gaps.
Yes. And it does such a disservice to our natural ability as women. Like, our bodies, I say this, I can't honestly, probably tens of times a week to women, like, your body knows what to do. If your body is in a healthy balance, we were made to do this. You were made to get, you were made to give birth. You were made to recover. Our bodies were designed to do this. And so to all of a sudden, like, over medicalize everything and be like, well, after 6 months, just come back and we'll do IVF and everything will be great and you'll be good. It like oversteps your power as a woman to like own it and fix it and be it and do that for yourself and your baby. It just like oversteps that big whole, I think, important process emotionally too for women.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
And like, especially with like, I would say too, like with, like we do have clients who are prepping their bodies for IVF, and you know what, that's so great. But what is your doctor talking to you about? Like, how can you support yourself with supplements and diet and lowering stress? What can we do with the gut health to improve your chances of IVF? It's a huge investment. Insurance oftentimes doesn't help. So it's like, let's work together and kind of merge the two. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. We can learn to exist in the same world to get the client the absolute best results and hopefully a healthier baby who is at, less risk of autism and birth defects and things like that.
Of course. Yeah. And then not to mention a mother who goes into a pregnancy much healthier and stronger often has a better postpartum experience. And that better postpartum experience for the woman then lends itself to a better bond and a better, first year of life for the baby. I mean, like, the benefits are just endless, right? And it kind of all starts with us.
Yeah. And Sam and I both, like I said, we spent a lot of time prepping our bodies, and we both had very easy pregnancies and, very easy births overall. And, so far, very healthy babies. And so, we don't think there's very much coincidence to that. We spent a lot of time and effort to, try to make sure that happened for us.
And also, I think a big part of it too is like, everybody wants to take charge of their fertility. Alyssa and I got pregnant on our time frame because we did do so much digging with like the functional medicine labs for both us and our husbands. And we, purged the toxins and we corrected gut issues, mold toxicity, mineral ratios, all those things really matter. And I don't think there's anything better than, you want to get pregnant on your timeline to a certain extent, and you can control what you can control. And then, you do let go of the rest. But, we just wanted to feel like we covered all of our bases so that if we did run into any issues, we were like, okay, well, I did everything that I could. Now I know I need to get my anatomy checked, or I do need some additional, expert help. But luckily we never had to go down that path because this really works.
Yeah. So you just mentioned something that I'd like to go back to, and that is kind of bringing husbands into the picture, right? I think society totally, I mean, women are just like on the hook for all this stuff, right? Fertility, what happens to the baby? It's just like a conception that women are basically doing it on their own. And men kind of donate their sperm, that's their part. But it can be such an important part. And I think a lot of women don't realize that. Certainly a lot of men don't realize that. So how do you kind of integrate the husbands into the picture?
So we really, on our Instagram page, we make that very clear that it takes two to make a healthy baby, and it is not all on the woman. And because, a lot of times people are, the women will come to us and be like, it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. It takes two to make a healthy baby. So, we really try to stress that just, to the community. And then when we're working with a client, because the majority of our clients are female. So when we are working with them, we do make sure we're saying, okay, well, what's going on with your husband? We offer them labs, and to make sure that they know that it's not just them that's going to make that healthy baby. So we really do stress that. And we have, couples come to us and we work together, and we've had great success with that. They're pregnant, and that's great. And
it's so much fun. We love doing like the groups, like Alyssa and I, we both get on the same call, and we're on there with the couple, and we get to know them really well. And then, when they get that positive pregnancy test, there's just literally no better feeling. It's just the best.
It is. And it's so fun because like we have, several clients where we're their first person that they tell that they're pregnant. And we're like, oh my God, like we just have happy tears. It's amazing. So, but we really do stress about, that it is male and female. And if we are just working with the female, we, try to encourage them to pull their husband into it, because it's, it really is important.
Yes.
And I find that, so I was just going to say, I find too that the men might be a little more hesitant to do like virtual calls and get on with us, without their wife. So, I've even had some clients say like, hey, my husband wants to run this lab. And when you review the lab, can you, can I be on the call with them? And we're like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Like I can tell you everything, put up the plan, like whatever we can do to support our clients. Like that's really what it comes down to. And that's what we want to do.
Yes. Yeah. I even with our practice at Equal Life, I always, if it's a woman running a lab, there is almost never a husband standing by. But when husbands run the labs, usually their wives are joining and they're taking notes and they're listening and making sure that, they're absorbing it all, because I think it is, a more of like a woman, a female passion really about kind of that health and wellness. But having the men on board physically with taking care of their bodies, one thing, but then it also kind of helps you come together, right? With this is our job together. It's not just on me to carry this baby and create this baby, and we're doing this together. And it kind of builds a little bit of a bond before conception too, I think.
I love what you said there, because I think we both totally agree. And I will say, going into your fourth trimester with your baby, if you breastfeed, the mama holds all the power. And it's just so nice to establish, that strong teamwork going into it. It's crazy. It's like nothing else.
Yes, of course. And it kind of just sets the expectation that like, we're doing this together, and this isn't just, all me, you're going to contribute where you can, I'm going to do what I can. And it's kind of like this joint effort for sure. Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. So share with our listeners a little bit about, because I'd like that for them to kind of know what you typically do as far as like how you're structuring. So I think a lot of times when women want to get pregnant sometimes, or if they're trying to balance female hormones, they're interested in just like, I just want the information. How do you kind of structure or help women to follow through to kind of get that end result of either, better hormone tests or feeling better, getting a positive pregnancy test? What's your typical kind of structure of how you're dealing with these, with this clientele?
So I'll go ahead and touch on that. So our process is really, we always like to begin with a free consultation. We think it's really important to, meet face-to-face and video if you can, see if you're compatible for each other, make sure that all their questions are answered so that, there's no surprises if they choose to become, private wellness client of ours. We found that our clients get the best results when we do an all-inclusive package type situation. So how we've chosen to do things is we specialize in the, fertility balance, hormone balance, and gut health balance, which all really tie in. They're all, connected. But we have different packages depending on what the client is coming to us for. Now, within that package, I would say we have 3 more little breakdown packages that clients can buy. So they'll either come to us for a bronze, a silver, or a gold package. And we wanted variety because we want to meet our clients where they're at. Some people are like, hey, I'm sick and tired, and I'm tired of feeling sick and tired. I want to do it all. I want the best of the best. And, no questions asked. Okay, that client's going to go for the gold package that has the big 5 and any supplements recommended in that package. So the way the tiers work is we have, with the silver, we have like 2 lab tests. And then with bronze, we have 3 lab tests, and the gold has the big 5, because the truth is, your health is not a guessing game. Like, if you're coming to us for results, we have to have the labs to know what's going on. It's just like, when you go to your doctor, you're not going to show up and be like, okay, fix me, and then expect them not to run some kind of, blood work. Mm-hmm. So we make that very clear. But then how we tailor each package to our clients' individual needs is, based off of their information they gave us. Then we say, okay, so the 2 labs, if you want to do the silver package, there's 2 labs for you. We're going to do gut and hormones, or maybe we're going to do food sensitivity and something, whatever that client needs. Something we found really helpful is we like to send the toxic quiz ahead of time for that free consultation, because it gives us some good talking points on that free call. It also helps to open that client's eyes to realize, whoa, I'm actually not as healthy as I thought I was. I do need some, there's some work that needs to be done. And then we can kind of review that. Plus, it helps us see like, oh, wow, they're really having a lot of issues with their digestive health. We know that client needs that gut lab. So we can start having that conversation, during that free call, which, we feel more knowledgeable about because we have more information about that particular client's, individualized symptoms. So we do that. That's our first call. Then we talk about our packages, and in each package, it all includes whatever labs, we decide on. It's going to include all supplements that client needs based off their labs. It's going to include a 7-day detox. It will also include any other like SIBO protocol or whatever that client needs, and the coaching calls, of course, and like lab consultations, all of that. We just rolled it all up into one because we didn't want any surprises. We wanted our clients to get the best results possible, and we wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to get those results. So we then order everything that client needs. We ship it directly to them. And then we also find it helpful to offer payment plans to, keep things within reach. But I'm sorry. I just want to say too, we were just having so many issues at the very beginning, just kind of doing like a free for all, like, okay, you did this lab. Okay, here are the supplements you need. Now please go click this link and buy your supplements. Okay. They weren't doing anything about their health at that point. And so they weren't getting results. That lab is now a waste of money because you have the information, but you're not acting upon that information. And, that really wasn't okay with us.
We also, I wanted to touch on, we really stress that labs are important. Like, we really don't see clients without doing labs. We used to, and it was too hard to help them. Obviously we can make some guesses and such, but it just got to the point where, okay, you're doing a lab, we're sorry, you can't work with us. And that's just kind of how we feel. And we do a lot of, like where somebody will just start with a lab, we'll do a consult, and then usually they'll end up in a package, or, we'll tailor a package to them from that. But usually it all stems from the labs, honestly.
Yes. Yeah. And that's where you're getting your data, right? Instead of guessing, it really allows clients to narrow down their time frame too, because if you know exactly what you're dealing with on the first call when you have lab data, now you're not guessing of like, okay, these supplements worked. Well, maybe this is the issue. And with hormones, especially, and even gut-based issues, all three of us know that things can run the gamut. I mean, there could be a thyroid issue. There could be an estrogen dominance issue. There could be gut. I mean, if you're guessing, you're spending a whole lot of time trying to guess.
And money.
Exactly. And money. So time and money, when the labs, people might look at a lab price and think, wow, that's a lot of money, but it actually saves you so much time and money in the long run. And it's a way better, I think, better service to the client for sure, to allow them to see, right? Because the data is also motivating. When you see like, oh, this is my saliva, like this isn't just Alyssa or Sam's guess. This is my saliva, this is happening, and this is what I have to do about it.
And that's absolutely. Go ahead, Sam. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, we both have husbands that function in that way. They need to see the data first before they just believe us, even though we're, their wife, and they should believe us because we have like their best interests at heart. But they're just, I love the men, but they like to have the data, it seems.
Yeah. A lot of times the men have to see it on the lab before they're like, oh, I do have a gut problem. Yeah, your symptom, we told you your symptoms, but they have to see that, elevation to be like, okay, yeah, I'll do something about that then. It's typically the men.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And like we said, that's definitely an important part of the process for sure.
And the other thing I wanted to touch on was that you brought up timing. The other thing that we find really important that we do is we do require our clients to work with us for at least 90 days, depending on the package that they choose. Or if they choose the gold where we have a bunch of information to go through and things to work on, then we require 120 days for that package, because we know that the body turns over at a cellular level at 90 days. So we really need that much time for the body to recognize all the wonderful changes we're making. So then we, explain that from the very beginning. And then we also tell them that, okay, one of your last calls with us will be talking about maintenance and weaning. And do you have something else you want to work on, retesting, all of that information?
And also with the 90 days, we know that egg health, if they're trying to get pregnant, egg health really matters 3 months in advance too. So we're telling them that up front, we don't really want you trying for 3 months because we're working on your health right now. So let's work on your health. And then you're going to have the best quality possible so that when you are trying, you're getting the healthiest baby instead of, the one prior to.
Exactly.
Of course. And it really does give the client, setting that expectation boundary right up front, it really does give the client, in my opinion, more comfort, whether or not they know that or not. But having the boundary of, this is the time frame it takes, this is what we see work, you're the expert, and you're telling them that this is what they kind of need to commit to, versus letting them, if they're hiring you and you're the expert, right, but then they decide the timeline of everything, it's not going to work that way. And having them kind of, be able to be in line with your knowledge of how the time works is really important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I'm curious, we usually ask the people that we're interviewing if they've come into any obstacles working through, their current practice. I'm curious, do you guys have obstacles, disagreements? Do you always get along? What's it like to work with another coach, and how does it, have you run into any obstacals?
I mean, we've had tons of obstacles. We've changed our business model and plan 100 times, I'm going to say, and we're still changing it as we go and learning what works for us and, what doesn't work.
We are queens of just like doing our work and then redoing our work and then redoing it some more, because honestly, if you wait for everything to be perfect, you'll wait forever to launch your business. And you got to just be able to pivot. That's life, especially new mom life. We are learning all about pivoting all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I mean, we don't really I mean, we'll disagree on things, but not to the point where we're like, okay, no, we're not doing that. We're done here. We talk about, we each have different ideas, and we'll tell each other, they come up in the middle of the night. So that next morning we're like, hey, we had this idea last night. What do you think about it? And then one of us will be like, I don't know how we'll make that work. Or yeah, let's try to make that work. Let's see if we can. And then, some of those ideas we get to work, and some of them we're like, no, just kidding. That's actually not going to work.
It's kind of funny. We just kind of joke that like, I'm like the dreamer. I will come up with all these like really outlandish things like, oh, what about this promotion? Oh, what if we did this on our website? And then Alyssa has to like kind of reel me in, and again, we balance each other very well. And then, we end up finding what really works well for us in our situation. But you do mention obstacles. I would say one of the main obstacles that we run into, and I'm sure many health coaches get this obstacle, is people love to ask if we accept insurance. And that's always an interesting conversation to have, because we are just in a society where, if insurance doesn't cover it, then it's not important, or maybe I don't need to do it. We actually saw that all the time, even in the dental office, whether it be x-rays or, something along those lines, or a treatment that they need. And it's really unfortunate, actually. And it's one of my least favorite conversations to have, but it's out of our control. There's not like, we can't change the way that insurance is dictating everything.
Yes. Yeah. And it really, in my opinion, comes down to what the insurance and what our medical system is, deeming important, and what they're prioritizing and what they find to be a priority. And unfortunately, root cause and, the holistic side of things just aren't that. And so I think there's some insurance companies certainly that will let you like submit for like a certain amount, but that's very, far and few between. And yeah, it can kind of be like, okay, well, so then is this medically needed? Is this something that's really going to make a difference if it's not, quote unquote, covered by insurance? But I think what, clients should know in that respect is this is something that you're doing for yourself, and that is kind of needed regardless, right, of whether or not you get pregnant. I mean, 10% of my clients, have to work on one issue, and 20% have to work on another, regardless of what the goal is, to just simply know that you are being a better version of yourself from a health standpoint. Then you won't need to worry about what your health insurance is covering. And like, if your appointments here, there, and everywhere, for other issues are going to come up someday.
Yes, girl. I think we could go on and on about that topic, but we won't.
Yeah. And then another like kind of goes with that is we run into sometimes where our clients will say, well, I had lab work done with my doctor and everything was healthy. And they don't understand the difference between, the labs that we would run versus what they're actually getting done with their doctor. They think their basic lab work, obviously important, but they think that they had everything checked, and they don't realize that, no, you didn't have your minerals checked. You didn't have your vitamins checked. Like, they weren't looking at your gut or really your hormones at like a detailed level. So we really do have to explain that a lot.
Especially because, Alyssa and I have already said that we've spent time prepping our bodies for fertility and for the babies that we have now. And something that was really important that I found on my hair tissue mineral analysis was that my copper to zinc ratio was completely off. Okay, well, there is research out that will say that your baby is at higher risk for developing autism, birth defects, things like that, if that ratio is off. Do you think that your OBGYN or any, other doctor, midwife, whoever is going to be checking that for you? Probably not. That's why it's so important to, value your, I would say, pregnancy team, that have an IHP person in your pregnancy corner, in your fertility corner there, because it's necessary. It's so necessary.
Yes. Yeah. And still see your midwife and your OBGYN and have, like you said, have a team of, one is supporting this, the other is supporting that. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing one way or the other.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing I wish our society could get away from is, why is it all or nothing? Why can't it be, I want the best of all the worlds. I have access to all of this. I live in a time where I have access to all this great help and information. Sure, insurance doesn't cover it, and that's a real bummer, but that's life right now. But why can't I just give myself the very best of everything? Because I deserve it and I want to that. So I wish we could just learn to merge the worlds a little bit better and not compete. One is not better than the other. It's a time and a place, thing.
Of course, yes. And I think one thing that's so important too, that Dr. Cabral has, mentioned so many times is that blood work, that's just looking at, your homeostatic fluid. And he always says, if that blood work's off, there's a serious problem, right? But the functional medicine labs and what you guys are doing for women is kind of uncovering stuff that, so sure, the doctor probably did run a whole lot of labs, but those aren't necessarily going to show us the kinds of things that functional lab testing can kind of indicate as far as what imbalances might be. Sam, like you said, creating a copper or zinc, deficiency, or do you have too much copper and is that a problem? So the functional medicine labs, even though they're quote labs and we're using that word with clients, they're so different than the kind of blood work that doctors are running in offices. And those are certainly super helpful at times, but there's a combination where they're both needed.
Well, yeah. And I was going to say, not only is it a difference in the labs, but sometimes you're just flat out not checking things that we really feel like they should. And that was one of the main reasons we created the holistic pregnancy course, because we felt like there's too many gaps in just our, routine prenatal visits. And we were seeing more holistic people for our care, but we're like, well, what about checking vitamin D levels? We know that low vitamin D, most people have it, and we know that it's linked to miscarriages. Why would I not want to decrease my risk for miscarriage? Like, why is that not being checked? I had a client a friend actually reach out to us on our Instagram and was, we don't give medical advice, or because we don't practice medicine, but we don't give any health advice on Instagram especially. But I had a friend who was pregnant and she's like, my OBGYN is wanting me to take more iron. And they said that I think it was 20 weeks, I could have that wrong, but at 20 weeks, they just give everybody extra iron. And I go, oh, well, what are your levels? Don't know. They didn't check. Okay, well, why are they saying that's where, they treat everybody the same. And, we got to get away from that. And so we're trying to bring some of that to light in that pregnancy course where, we've literally pulled things from IHP, from our even hygiene background, where we had to take lots of anatomy, physiology. Fun fact, Alyssa and I both had to take anatomy twice back in college. So we are really good at it. Not because we failed, but we really wanted to get into dental hygiene. But so there's like a lot of places where, even gum disease and issues are linked to miscarriages. So we really wanted to have one place where we could just bring all the information together for moms, because you not only do you spend all this effort and time becoming pregnant, but then like you said at the beginning, once you are pregnant, you're like, oh, great. Now what? Like what am I going to do? And then you're not feeling good. You're having low energy and you're like, how am I going to do all this research and work? And, so we really wanted to be the shortcut there to fill in a lot of those gaps.
Yes. Yeah. And Julia, one thing I wanted to mention, like about you saying the labs, like, yeah, when your doctor runs your blood work and stuff and they're at a range, something's really wrong. And we do try to, a lot of time, this comes up more often with, I feel like, the hormone lab. And when they're checking the thyroid, because they're like, my doctor checked my thyroid and everything was good. Okay, if your doctor is checking your thyroid and they're telling you something's wrong, it's probably because it's way out of range. And now you're probably going to be recommended a medication or, some type of intervention, versus if I'm telling you something's a little off, we're going to try to get it before it gets there. And that a lot of times people have a hard time grasping, because they're like, no, my doctor did check my thyroid. They did check my hormones, and they don't, really realize that the difference in those.
And my issue with that too is like, do people realize that like also the lab test that we do, it does check the thyroid antibodies. I've never had antibodies checked, for, the autoimmunity stuff with the thyroid, like through my routine, I even asked for a full thyroid panel after pregnancy, because I know pregnancy is really rough on the thyroid, and there was no mention of antibodies or anything like that. And so then I ran our Big Five on myself and kind of made tweaks as I, saw fit.
Yes. Yeah. And what functional lab testing does is it looks for trends. I mean, we're looking like, what are you trending towards? Whereas conventional medicine typically just finds the, oh, wow, there's a big problem. Got to fix this. And
I love that word. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We say that a lot. You're trending. Like I say that a lot in calls. You're trending towards, a higher thyroid or, that kind of thing, because obviously we don't, diagnose anything.
Right.
So trending, we say that so often because we're trying to get it before it's actually way out of whack. So
yeah. And I also have a client right now who is pregnant because really once we work with clients to, get them pregnant, they really like to stick with us so that we can help them even through their pregnancy. And we did run the thyroid adrenal hormone lab. So like, we weren't really looking at it for like the hormones necessarily, like your progesterone and all that, but it was still such a very useful lab to check the cortisol. How are things going there? Do we need to calm the body to also lower risk for miscarriages? Do we need to up vitamin D in this client's case? Yes, we did. And she had already been taking, vitamin D, but that we saw on her very first lab that she ran with us. So it's like also just being able to have the information to continue to tweak things further, as needed for your body and your individual needs. It's just, we're so grateful to have access to the labs and really educate our community on how important they really are.
Yes. Yeah. They just offer a whole other set of eyes on things. And, like Alyssa and I were saying, the trend is if you can stop the train right before it crashes, that's the main goal. And for so many women, they have like these little symptoms over time that doctors are like, well, that's normal. You're probably a little stressed. Well, maybe you're not sleeping. And, meanwhile, things are just snowballing in the background. And these labs are able to tell us what's snowballing and what you have to fix. And it's so beneficial.
Absolutely.
All right. So can you share with our listeners where they can find you on social media? Share a little bit about the workshop or I forget what you exactly called it, the new thing that you're launching. Did you say it was a workshop?
Of course. Yep. So
it's actually, go ahead, Alyssa.
So our Instagram is Balanced Friends, and that's where we're the most active. We do, on Facebook a little bit too, but mostly on Instagram is where we're the most active. And our pregnancy course that we just launched is through Teachable. So you could usually find it on there, but usually sending us a link or an email is the best way to find that course.
Yes, we do have the link to our holistic pregnancy course in our bio on Instagram, but obviously can send it through email. And then we also did want to give the listeners, a discount code IHP podcast for a percentage off that as well. Because it's a great gift. If you know somebody who's pregnant, like that's just such a good gift. It's information I wish that I would have had all in one place when I was first pregnant, so I didn't have to run around and gather all the information for myself.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much for doing that. Tell us the code one more time.
It's capital IHP and then podcast. The whole thing is capitalized.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was so great having both of you on the Integrative Health Coach Success podcast. This was so fun. I'm so glad we got to all three of us talk and get all of your valuable information. I think this has been so helpful, and I hope all of the listeners get to check out the workshop.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Yes, it was a blast. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And good luck with new motherhood, Alyssa and Sam. Keep up with new. You're still, how old is your baby, Sam?
He is a little over 7 months. I'm telling you, it goes so fast.
Yes.
But it took Alyssa's baby, Cooper, to be born for me to remember to hold my baby just a little bit longer, because it just goes so fast. And even during your hardest moments, it all is temporary. It passes, and their little smiles just makes it so worth it. But we always say it's the hardest job we've ever had, but definitely the most rewarding.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I have a 4 and a 6-year-old, and some days I say to my daughter all the time, I want to shrink you back. And she looks at me, oh God, Mom, you're so annoying.
I I know. I always tell my son, you give mommy a kiss. You give mommy a kiss. I think Alyssa does that too to Cooper. Like, give mommy a kiss, because we know that we won't get to do that forever.
Yeah, well, enjoy them. Keep up all the great work and sharing all of your wealth of information with all women out there and their husbands. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Take care.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
you too.